Well, for more on the upside and downside of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, I'm joined by Rodolfo Novak, the CEO of Coinkite. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Rachelle.
Now, how has this recent surge we're seeing in the value of Bitcoin come about?
Well, it's really a thing in the making. Bitcoin has been around for quite a few years now, and as national currencies become less valuable and also more unstable, people look for a better place to store their wealth.
Now, people are certainly seeing this as a chance to become an overnight millionaire, but what could really make or break its upswing?
Well, it's a conjecture of many things. Bitcoin is it's extremely fungible, so people can make transactions anywhere in the world for very little amounts of money, and that makes it very easy for people to buy and sell across countries. That is really one of its biggest features. Now, because it's not really pegged to any government currency, Bitcoin doesn't really care if a government decision is made either way or another. It really is a new type of asset class.
Now, even though this is a fairly new asset class, Bitcoin is the name that everybody knows. But what's the competition like in the cryptocurrency space?
Well, there are some coins out there, and it's important to have a few to test new technologies and to test new ways of making things. But eventually, a lot of these technologies do get merged into the Bitcoin blockchain.
Now, you mentioned this ease of doing business between countries, and obviously you have the headlines, people concerned about things like ransomware attacks, but then you also have people who just don't have access to traditional banking. So what would you say are the biggest misperceptions about how and why people use Bitcoin?
Well, there's a large part of the world population is unbanked, and it's been very hard for them to find financial services. What Bitcoin allows them to do is bypass the banking system and bank themselves. With devices like this one, OpenDime, you can bank even without a computer. And this is remarkable, because if you're somebody in a country that does not serve you, you can find yourself a way of accessing the financial markets in the whole world.
Now, we've seen what sort of impact political crises can have on currencies around the world, but how much impact do they have when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies?
Well, they act very differently. I mean, to say that they have no impact would be not true, but they are not, Bitcoin is not beholden to a specific government's will. So when something happens in a country, the whole, the liquidity shifts to another part. You could almost look at Bitcoin as the 8th continent currency. It is not beheld by specific countries.
Now, there are still countries which are using this more predominantly than others. So what are some of the countries and the industries that are really leading the way in Bitcoin use?
Well, I mean, US, Canada, China has an incredible amount of volume in Bitcoin. Germany, well, Western Europe in general is really growing. South Asia, Philippines is really growing. It's happening everywhere. And what is fascinating about it, it's very hard to mount it because everything happens outside of the legacy financial system.
And what do you think is the biggest resistance that some people might have when they think of Bitcoin and kind of venturing into that non-traditional currency? What are usually the things that are holding them back from trying?
Well, it's very similar to when we started with email. Remember, there was that weird @ symbol? And as people familiarize themselves with the technology and with the use of it, it won't be that foreign anymore, and people will start using it more often.
Now, some people think either this is going to be the future of global finance, or poof, it could just disappear in a second and everyone's going to lose their money. What's your long-term outlook for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies?
I'm very bullish on Bitcoin. It's been, its death has been called numerous times. It's been many years now. It's a very hard thing to put away. It's the most powerful computer in the world by a lot. And that says a lot. There's a lot of money poured in. There's billions of dollars in financials, in venture capital poured in. There's a lot of countries jumping in with 2 feet. You don't want to be the last country, to enjoy the financial benefits of Bitcoin. There is enough room for both a legacy financial system and central banks and Bitcoin to exist. Bitcoin is not going to be the single currency of the world, but we can definitely see it being up there, the US dollar eventually.
We'll certainly have to see if that pays off. Thank you so much.